Now, the world is ringing in the year of the fire horse, and China is marking Lunar New Year with an extraordinary and unique spectacle. Dozens of robots took to the stage to deliver a knockout martial arts performance at China's annual CCTV Spring Festival Gala. It was a showcase of the Chinese push to pioneer in the fields of robotics and AI. Well, Ramesh Srinivasan is an artificial intelligence policy specialist and a professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. He joins us from LA. Good to have you on the program, Ramesh. So China just showed off humanoid robots doing kung fu and dancing on their biggest TV show of the year. Why would a government use a holiday party to show off dancing robots? Is this just for fun, or is it a message to the rest of the world? Wake up.
Well, we're starting to see dancing robots around us, whether we're in China or right here in the United States. You know, right outside my door here in Los Angeles, even though it's early in the morning, there are a number of automated vehicles driving and a number of small, like, robots doing delivery. But I think it's a sign and a statement, and China's very clear about it, that it is, you know, very much on the cutting edge when it comes to AI and technological futures, including robotics. But we also see this, as I mentioned, here in the United States. Someone like Mr. Elon Musk mentioned recently in Davos that, you know, within a few years, he said within a decade, there would be more humanoid robots on this planet than actual human beings. So I think all of this raises the question, what do we all want with these, you know, with the emergence of these types of humanoid robots? Obviously, AI has already emerged, but what happens when AI is in these robotic forms, which is now becoming more and more commonplace?
Well, I'm sure we'll get to that in a second, Ramesh, but I'm curious about something you said there, citing Elon Musk, there'll be more robots than people. We know that China's population is getting older. There are fewer young people working in these factories that drive the Chinese economy. Is this robot invasion, let's call it that, on television, a sign that China is essentially trying to build some kind of new workforce out of metal and lines of code to replace all the people they're losing?
I don't know about replacing the people, but we do know, as you mentioned, the Chinese population is declining. We also know that even though the, you know, one-child policy was, you know, long ago released, people are still not having more children. I mean, that's sort of a general issue that's happening in many parts of the world. And I think we're also seeing how more and more the future is going to be the deployment of these humanoid robots in at the minimum, particular specialized settings, like factory settings, industrial settings, maybe agricultural settings. But all of this raises the big question again, what is this going to mean for working class peoples economically? Do we really want this to be the case? What about the emergence of more and more humanoid robots on the battlefield, drones, and so on? All of this is further and further meaning that our futures, economically, militarily, politically, even personally, people are turning to robots and AI as therapists, even companions, even potential mates. Do we want this? This is the big question. And what are the appropriate domains for these humanoid robots to emerge, and what are maybe inappropriate for us?
I get the sense from talking to you that the genie is already out of the bottle, and it's inevitable that there is going to be some sort of race to the top here. I mean, let's talk about the global tech race, because we often hear about American AI like ChatGPT, etc. I mean, China is now, I understand, shipping 90% of the world's humanoid robots. Is China therefore actually winning the tech race by focusing on robots that you can touch and see and interact with, even have relationships with, you suggested, instead of just software like the Americans do?
Well, first and foremost, I don't know if it's considered winning for us to live in a world full of humanoid robots around us, where maybe at some point we won't be able to easily discern the distinction between another human being and a humanoid robot. So to me, that's not necessarily winning. But, you know, here in the United States, companies like Boston Dynamics, you know, all the big tech companies, people like Palmer Luckey are developing various types of advanced robots. We're even seeing robots like the Neo robot, for example, which, by the way, is nothing like the character Neo in the Matrix itself, where the character Neo is trying to escape the Matrix. They're calling this robot Neo. It's a sort of humanoid robot that will live with you at home and do various things for you. Why are we as human beings not trusting as much in one another and in these robotic technologies is a big question. I think we're seeing more and more people turn away from one another, have more suspicion toward one another, and troublingly, though perhaps very attractively, turn to robots of different forms, including AI ones. So as far as the space race with AI, it's China and the US. They're competing. We saw many revelations, ways in which China was very resource conscious compared to the United States with its DeepSeek model. So, that was about a year ago, those revelations that for pennies on the dollar, they were able to emulate top GPT type large language models. But I think that this race is occurring more and more. But I think it's also because it's driven by private industry, which is scale and grow at all costs. And here in the US, a lot of the humanoid robots are being funded by our taxpayer money, including a lot of AI investments themselves.
Ramesh, I want to get this question into you because obviously we've seen these Chinese robots embracing what looks like Chinese culture. I mean, you've written about how technology should respect culture. When we see a high-tech robot performing ancient martial arts with a sword, is that a gimmick? Or does it show a respect for China's ancient past?
I mean, I think it's pointing to China as a future technological power, which it already is, and its past. In and of itself, for me, just looking at all of this, because I was combing through a lot of the video, before we came on air, it doesn't seem like necessarily anything troubling, where there's lots of examples of acrobatic kinds of things that technologies can already do. But it's like about putting it in its proper place, right? It's not about letting it take over for us. For me, it's really about reinvesting in the human condition and the ways we want to work with technologies to have a flourishing future. But first and foremost, everybody needs to feel like they're more secure and taken care of and less divided in these times, because in the US, AI is more and more disentangling us from one another. And there's clear research showing that.
Well, it's been an extremely illuminating conversation, Ramesh. Pleasure having you on Al Jazeera. Ramesh Srinivasan, AI policy specialist at UCLA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.